I hate robbing banks.
And welcome to Reviews Without Remorse. I am Joe, which means this handsome guy who looks like Thanos next to me must be Dave. What's going on, partner?
I don't look like Thanos.
No,
My kid will get that reference. I guess maybe I kind of do look like Thanos. You know, fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe. He never says that line in the movie.
So we are here with our spoiler review, our spoiler-filled review of Avengers Infinity War. I wanted to call it Part 1, but it is not. It is Avengers Infinity War. And let's get into some spoilers. If you haven't seen it already, go see it before you watch this video and watch our spoiler-free video.
And then come back here and see what we think.
My friend, tell me something about Infinity Wars.
Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good.
Yeah, that was tough. That was tough.
Right out of the gate, I'm going to get the one that there was a lot of pain in this movie. We had Loki. We had Heimdall. We had Gamora. Gamora surprised the hell out of me. I wasn't expecting that. Granted, as the scene progressed, I saw where it was going, but going into the movie, I had no clue that she was going to go. Then you had the Vision. And then, nothing. Just half the damn Avengers. Everybody that's been introduced since Age of Ultron up.
Half the world. Nick Fury.
Yeah. Holy smokes. The movie, the testicles on this movie alone, I'm giving it credit for. That, to you and me, we know there is an Avengers 4. We know that that's coming. And even to the less savvy, they may know that it's coming. But you know that there is a bunch of 12 years old and younger who don't follow movies the way that we do, who walked out of that theater shell-shocked.
Yeah. And again, there's my struggle with the film. This, like I said in the last podcast, in the podcast and in our spoiler-free review, I struggled with this film. I struggled with how to grade it. Because again, if I'm just judging this on a standalone film, I just watched a film where we fight, we lose, and everybody dies. Go home. Goodbye. And as far as I'm concerned, and again, I know the post-credits sequence, you might throw that out there and say, but, as far as I'm concerned, this film ends with everybody dead. Or half the world dead, most of our key players dead. And again, there isn't even so much as like a little question mark at the end saying, like some kind of a glimmer of hope saying things are going to work out. Don't worry. We just went home. I mean, and again, I took my nieces and nephews to see this, and by the time we're walking out, I'm saying to myself, maybe this wasn't the one to take the kids to, because they're all kind of walking out like, well, okay,
Uncle
everybody's
Joe,
dead.
Uncle Joe, what did you take us to?
Yeah, nice rotten movie you took us to. So again, I mean, I if I'm scoring it as that alone, I have a hard time giving it top marks. As again, I want the conclusion. I want to see the second act of the play. In fact, my brother just this afternoon sent me a link to a review from the New Yorker with the subject line saying this guy should be fired. He basically makes the argument. He says, the ending, but that ending is also a narrative cheap shot because it doesn't feel like an ending. It feels like the turning point of a movie that's about to enter its heroic final act, which in this case will instead be the sequel. But again, it ends there. And frankly, it's almost like if you argue the idea that, but we know it's not really going to take hold, well, then you can't really score it too high on its chutzpah. I mean, on one hand, it was a pretty bold ending. But again, knowing that there's going to be something coming up to sort of reverse what we just saw, it's almost like, well, then I'm not going to score it so much on its cojones alone. And how do I can't really score it as a happy ending either.
What we have here is 2 hours and 40 minutes of an origin story for the villain. This is Thanos' story.
True.
With special guest stars, the Avengers. This all depends upon two things. One, it depends upon Josh Brolin, because they did facial capture for Josh Brolin, and he did some of the acting on set. It depends on Josh Brolin giving a good performance, and it depends upon the animators actually bringing it to life in a way that doesn't get too uncanny valley with you. Because we know there's no such thing as a 10-foot tall purple person. We know that. So we subconsciously we already know that it's CGI. But man, did they pull it off. Man, did the animators do their work? Did Josh Brolin do their work? Did McFeely and Marcus write such a compelling character, shying away from the motivations of Thanos in the comics, where Thanos is trying to impress Lady Death by killing half the galaxy? Sure, that's comic booky, but not here. No, not here. What we got here is the galaxy, the universe's biggest eco-terrorist. He's like Ra's al Ghul on like steroids, literal steroids, with how tall and muscular he is.
That's a good way to put it too.
This is a guy who saw the excess of his own world and its destruction, and he's taken it upon himself to go out to the galaxy and balance all the planets, so that yes, half the population will die, but the other half will live. Now, as far as motivations can go, that's still cuckoo. He isn't called the Mighty Titan for nothing. But you know what? They made it compelling. They made it like he's doing this. He doesn't take glee in it. He's not taking joy in it. He doesn't really want to kill people. I mean, there were a couple occasions where he had certain heroes dead to rights, and he could have just easily popped them. My favorite, one of my favorites. There's a moment in the movie where you realize that Gamora knows the secret of where the Soul Stone is, and Thanos knows as well because he captured Nebula, and that's a whole other thing. But we'll get to that. But she knew it, and before they went to try to see if they could stop him from getting the Reality Stone from the Collector, she begged Peter Quill, Star-Lord, to kill her before he lets Thanos take her, because she knows that Thanos will get it out of her somehow. So he agrees to do it. Of course, they get there. It's a fake out. Thanos is basically, 5 steps ahead of everybody. And she's pleading with Star-Lord to kill me. And Thanos is like, really? And he kind of pushes her right in front of you. Go ahead, do it. And Star-Lord's just like, and he pulls the trigger, bubbles come out of his gun, and Thanos just looks at him, has this wry little smile like, I like you. And then he goes. What a great damn moment!
Yeah.
But
yeah, no,
like the begrudging father giving approval to the man who would woo his daughter. They didn't have to do that for a damn villain, but they did, and it made him that much better.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you 1,000% there. I thought the way they handled Thanos was spectacular. Again, now, did I agree with his motivation? Well, no, but that's kind of beside the point. I'm going to wipe out half the population to spare the other half of the population because of the problems with resources and whatever. But again, whether or not I agree with his actual motivation is beside the point. The fact that I can relate to him, the fact that I can believe his motivation, the fact that I believe his drive, that's what makes it work. And the fact that he just again, there are parts where this guy, this overlord who wants to murder half of the population, all of a sudden seems relatable. The scene where he is on top of the mountain with Gamora, with a great cameo by the Red Skull, by the way, which we should talk about. But that scene when he's up there and how do I get the stone? And he says, you have to sacrifice something you love. And she's like, ha! You've lost. You lost because you don't love anything. And when he turns around, he's got tears in his eyes. You're like, no way. Are you serious? And all of a sudden, you're like, oh my God. Like, you're really starting to, relate to this guy. And you're like, how is this possible? How am I relating to him? And then the shot, after he throws her off, and then the camera sort of levels out, and he's sitting there sort of in the water, and he lifts his hand up, and you don't even see the stone. You just see the glow in his hand. That moment, I was like, wow, this is tremendous. Like, they are really getting into this character. And again, this is the only character left, frankly, in this whole universe of characters that we've all seen in different places. This is the only one that is relatively new, so they give him his time, and they let us get to know him. And I'm like, man, they really. I mean, again, there's no character left that we haven't really gotten to know pretty well,
throughout
frankly.
the entire universe. One of the things I loved about that scene, not many people realize this, but the original Infinity Gauntlet in the comic books, the Soul Stone is actually orange. Now, when they realized Thanos was going to be involved, they actually planned out the colors of the different stones. Whoever decided to make the Soul Stone green is freaking brilliant. The same color as Gamora. You have to wonder, was that planned? Was that just a happy coincidence? Who knows? But it was freaking brilliant.
Okay. Good point there.
There's a lot of great little bits of brilliance there. And that, you're right, that is a tremendously wonderful yet awful, awful scene to watch. When I was sitting in the theater and the Red Skull, which, by the way, thank you so much for making that happen. Thank you.
You called that, by the way. I have to point out.
I know.
You called that way back when we talked about the first Avenger. You said he didn't die. He got sucked up into oblivion. And if you look, so we could see him again. So that was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool that he came back.
I shifted in my seat like this. I was like, yes. And my son looked at me like, Dad. And I'm like, yeah, I know. We high-five each other and everything like that. He was really happy. But literally, like 2 minutes later, he explains about what he has to do. You have to sacrifice something you love. And my son sitting next to me saying, I know what's going to happen. He saw it. And he was just like gripping his seat. God.
Yeah.
Darn it.
Again, this, this you can't dismiss this as a popcorn film. I mean, this is,
but it's more.
This film had, it's more. It is so much more. I mean, this film genuinely had drama. It genuinely had heart and soul. I mean, by the end, you're gutted, obviously, but I mean, yeah, this movie is no joke. I mean, they put a lot of time, a lot of care, a lot of thought into this. Again, to do what they did with this film, to make this work, is nothing more than it is an absolute accomplishment.
Tell me about it. Enthralled is maybe not the best word. I mean, I can't think of the last time that I would be willing to pay today's movie prices to go out and see it again, rather than wait for it to come out on DVD and Blu-ray.
I took my girlfriend and 3 kids to see it. Trust me, I know.
Tony Stark, we need your help.
In 5 days.
Thanos is coming. You sure you're up to this?
What more could I lose?
Me personally, I could lose a lot.
Go! This Friday. Be there. When destiny arrives. It's my time.
The fate of the universe is at stake.
So give me tell me one of your highlights and tell me your low point. What certainly is going to be something about it that was less than perfect, or tell me just something that you absolutely adored about it that was tremendous.
I really enjoyed the way each of the characters moved along. I loved how they interacted, how they introduced themselves. When Doctor Strange does the thing with the Time Stone, okay? When he does the thing with the Time Stone, and he gets this look at his face like, I went through 14,065 different, realities. And Tony's like, did we win in any of them? And he looks directly at Tony when he says 1. And then later on in the movie, after just saying, earlier in the movie that, like, I'll let you die, I'll let Spider-Man die, I will let thousands of people die before I'll ever give up this Time Stone. And then he gives up the Time Stone at the end because he knows there's one reality, and Tony Stark is living in that reality. That is the only reason why. And I thought that was freaking brilliant. And I enjoyed I enjoyed the initial fight. The first big fight. My first thought walking into this movie is like, I wonder how Hulk would do against Thanos. Well, you find out in the first 5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen.
Not too good
at all. There's something to be said about strength plus finesse. And God, it was such a well-staged fight, too. Like, you see him, like, chopping him down like a tree. He's not, it's freaking, there's Hulk, and there's Thanos, like,
At one point he like just jabs him and he like tags him right on the nose, and it's like, oh my god, like it was really kind of like, it was amazing. Best line in that scene, by the way, we have a Hulk.
What a brilliant callback for that.
So great that they gave him that line.
Oh, yeah, especially after his lovely little scene in Ragnarok where it's like, yes, that's how that feels.
Yeah, right.
Loki. I hope his death is permanent. I really enjoyed the way that they handled Gamora's death. The scene at the end with Scarlet Witch and Vision where she is killing him basically to try to save the world was, oh my god, heart-wrenching. It followed up by making my heart jump out of my chest when, the famous scene from the trailer where there's Thanos punching and Steve's holding him back, and Thanos is getting this like, not bad, bub, and then just whack, hits him in the head. I thought for sure Cap was dead and I was going to lose it.
Oof, yeah. That was some shiny guy, yeah.
But no, those were there's a lot really to like about this movie. I'm hitting the highlights, and if you notice, a lot of the highlights that I'm hitting all have to do with an emotional level as opposed to, crack bang boom bang. And the crack bang boom bang was still great, but this movie had so many emotional moments. The first line I brought up, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so well. Okay, I know that Spider-Man's not really dead. I know he's coming back. Of course I did. But bless Tom Holland and RDJ for playing that scene so damn well. The fear in poor Tom Holland's eyes, the panic in Tony's like, I got this kid killed.
Yeah.
Freaking brilliant.
Yeah.
So well done. All those little moments make up so much more of that movie than even the best action scenes. And the action scenes are no slouch. So that should tell you something. If there's something I want to complain about, I would have liked it if the Black Order actually got their day in court. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you this question. You're not Marvel fans. You're not me. You're not Marvel fans. Name one member of the Black Order. What?
Squidward.
You see? That's all. His name is Ebony Maw. Okay? His partner is Cull Obsidian. The ones that attacked Vision and Scarlet Witch, that is Corvus Glaive and Proxima Midnight. Okay? Awesome freaking characters from the comics. And it was nice that we got the henchman-esque from them, and each of them brought their own little thing to the table. I like that. I really enjoyed the characters from the comics, and I really, really would have liked a little more meat from them. Of all of them, Ebony Maw got the most screen/verbal time. And he was just damn creepy, which, good job on that. But really, that's my only detriment for the movie. I highly recommend the movie. You should go see it. And I gave it a 10. And my man Joe here, now he's going to tell us his problems. I know one of them, but he says he's got another one.
Plural. Yes. Yeah. First of all, I gave it an 8, and I gave it an 8. I think more or less because, again, I have some nitpicks, but the nitpicks aren't really why I dialed it back a little bit. I kind of felt like it was just a bombardment of the senses to the point where, again, maybe I'm just showing my age. Maybe I'm getting a little too old for these films.
Get off my lawn.
And again, it was done smartly. It was organized, and it's not like I'm not complaining about things not working out correctly because you had this over here and what happened to this over here. No. I mean, it all made sense. It all worked out. And it was all pretty well explained. But again, I'm watching a 2-hour and 40-minute climax to a bigger universe. I can't even really judge this as a singular film because it really is. It's not a standalone film because it does require you to have a pretty good knowledge of these characters. It is for fans, and I am a fan, so I'm not complaining. But I'm saying as an objective reviewer, I find it difficult to score it high because again, you need a pretty good knowledge of the characters and the events that happened leading up to this, which is fine. I mean, this is a series of films. But then again, when you get to that ending is a gut punch and it is a downer. And again, if I'm watching this as a standalone film, again, I'm sitting there watching this. They're at their lowest point, and everybody loses. That feels like the beginning of the second act. Like, okay, now I'm waiting for the comeback. But I don't get that in this film. And frankly, like I said before, there's not even really much to say that, again, if they even called this Part 1, if they called this Infinity Wars Part 1, that would have been my out. And I could have said, okay, there you go. It's written right there, and I can treat this as the first half of a 2-part story. But and again, I'm not trying to play dumb. I mean, I know it's coming, but it's not delivered this way. It's delivered as, here you go. And I know they want to do that for the sake of boldness, and it is. So, but again, if I'm going to judge this as a standalone film where everybody just dies at the end, all right, it's going to have to come down a little bit. And like I said, repeat viewings, and the next film is probably going to make me eat my words. So if I sound like I'm struggling with this score, it's not because I don't feel justified in what I'm saying. It's that I do have the conscious awareness to know that there is more to come that will explain this. And again, without that, right now, I can't score it the way I want to. I'd like to score it higher, but I'm just gonna let my 8 just sort of sit there, and like I said, we'll come back and discuss it.
That's fine.
Next year. My 2 big complaints, and I got 2. The Hulk. First of all, look, Bruce Banner was a guy who his entire life was struggling, or his entire life as the Hulk struggled with how to control the Hulk. Now I have a Bruce Banner who not only has he completely controlled the Hulk, but the Hulk stopped coming. That's exactly what he wanted. Now suddenly he's got it. Guys, in the Avengers, Bruce Banner says, that's my secret. I'm always angry. So he can turn into the Hulk on a dime. By the time we get to Ragnarok, he's now the Hulk all the time and can't change back into Bruce Banner. He can even eat and sleep as the Hulk and never transform back. Never saw that before. No explanation as to why that is.
Had sex as well as the Hulk.
That's in my brain now.
I don't even want to. I don't even want to think about that because
the reason I'm saying that is for my joke to say that what's happening is Banner has Hulk-tile dysfunction.
Hulk's. But yeah, Bruce Banner essentially has whiskey as the Hulk now. He can't be. He's like, come on, we can do this, and he can't do it. No, and frankly, I just hated that whole Popeye-esque, where the green face pops out and goes, "No, I'm not coming out," and he zips back. I'm like this is not Roger Rabbit, this is not Popeye. I'm like, come on. So yeah, that was really starting to bug me, and I feel like by the next film, I want a good 5-minute long explanation, a PowerPoint presentation as to what the hell's going on with the Hulk, what the rules are for the Hulk, and why whatever. Let's just settle down with the Hulk and make some rules and stick to it.
Maybe that's the secret title of the next Infinity Wars movie. It's going to be
Infinity War
Avengers
2. What's going on with the Hulk?
The PowerPoint presentation on Hulk's powers.
There you go. All right, and here's my other problem. And I've been talking about this in a lot of podcasts. It's probably been my only complaint with the Marvel films in general. When the first Captain America came out, he sat there with a screwdriver and whatever, and he sat there and built this suit of armor, and you watched him work on it. You saw what it can do and what it couldn't do. There were limitations to it, and again, it made it very believable. Well, in subsequent films, the tech has now gotten just so insane that I frankly just say to myself, look, I mean, we might as well just chalk this up to magic at this point, because there's nothing. Now Iron Man has this armor that he's calling like nanotech or something or other, which I guess is really just a shortcut of saying it just comes out of thin air, deal with it. And there were things that his armor was doing now. When he first takes off, he says, like, Friday, give me some extra juice, and his feet turn into this one big giant round rocket out of nowhere. There's things later. I mean, the suit just appears out of completely thin air, like it just sort of materializes the way the Black Panther suit was doing, and that was bothering me. I'm saying, like, you can't make matter come from nothing. So, I mean, it's just really getting that over the top. And then, of course, when you get to Spider-Man's legs coming out of his back, which I know is from the comic. I know there was but again, the suit is skin-tight nothing. Where are you hiding these giant legs? They just exist in like a different universe, and they come out of like a portal from someplace to appear and work. So again, I'm kind of, as far as the actual tech goes, I mean, there was parts when he's fighting Thanos when his arm, his hand would turn to like a big hammer. I'm like, who is he? Like the Sandman? Like it was like the Sandman from Spider-Man 3. So I mean seriously, I mean it's literally getting cartoonish, like Looney Tunes cartoonish, where like now he just like he turned to like just a giant fist and a giant this and giant that. I don't know. That's really starting to wear on me, and I'm having trouble now. Sort of again, I know you have to put believability to the side, but they had it. They were nailing it. They were doing really well as far as like believability goes. I mean, real life technology and the things you can do as far as cinema goes was starting to come together at a certain point to give us something that we would say, I could actually believe that now. Like, I mean, the first Iron Man you watch and you're like, okay, it's far-fetched, but I don't think it's that far-fetched anymore. But now, no, you're not going to just pull giant hammers out of your hands, from nothing. So anyway, that's my grumble, and I've probably spent way too long talking about it. But again, it's a noticeable thing. I mean, they want to. We're trying to get immersed in a world that we can just sort of turn our brains off a little bit and not be distracted by certain things. But then when they go so obvious with things that just can't happen, you get lost. I mean, even when I saw Guardians of the Galaxy and his mask, like Peter Quill's mask, would sort of just materialize, I wasn't crazy about it, but I was like, oh wait, but that's in space. So I'm willing to just say, okay, future technology, way future technology, okay. But now we've got it here, and I'm not quite getting it.
Theoretically could do that, but that's like 70, 100 years from now before something like that would actually be viable and workable.
Right.
I don't disagree with you, but then again, this is a movie where a guy snapped his fingers and half the population of the world went dust into the wind. So.
Fair enough, but again, I mean, they took the time to explain it, and again, this is otherworldly stuff. I mean, again, I don't mind Doctor Strange because they set that world up and say these are the parameters of this character, and this is what he can do. And now we've got, again, the Hulk, same way. I mean, we've got certain characters that are kind of being shifted around to suit certain plot points, I suppose, or just to be a little more crazy than normal. And again, that was my praise in the beginning, is that the characters basically stay the same. Like we didn't have to tweak them to fit. They stayed them, and their personalities more or less stayed the same, which was good. That's the hard part, frankly. The easy part is just getting them to stick to the rules that you've sort of established for each character, as far as like their abilities go. And again, I kind of feel like when that just sort of goes willy-nilly, then you start to just sort of go, all right, so pretty much anything can happen here. So anyway, like I said, it's a minor quibble that I've taken 20 minutes to
half this podcast
harp on, but whatever.
To Tony Stark technology that isn't possible. But that aside, we both really recommend the movie. And honestly, we're
highly.
I think like even a lot of the things that we're doing, the nitpicks do have merit. Like the technology thing, I completely can feel you on that one, especially when they worked so hard to ground it in real world from the first one forward, and then they just kind of threw that out the window and said, screw it, nanobites, right? And the Hulk's rules have kind of always been fast and loose, and it hasn't been my favorite thing. But still, regardless of all that, it's a damn great movie, a fun movie, an excellent romp, and I guarantee you'll have a good time.
Absolutely. You will not be disappointed. And like I said, I think this is the kind of film that is 100%. Ripe for repeat viewings. And I'm looking forward to seeing it again. I genuinely can't wait to see it again. And we'll probably talk more about it. Because, I mean, it is breaking box office records as we speak. So
$7 million in its opening weekend. Bye-bye, Force Awakens.
Took out The Force Awakens.
Jinx, you owe me a Coke.
You got it.
Well, take us out, my man. Oh,
Is
yeah.
that it? Do we cover it? That's the Avengers Infinity War. Again, spectacular film. My friend, great to be sitting here doing a video with you, and hopefully we'll be doing more of these in the coming weeks. We've got new, looking at my schedule now, we've got a couple new films coming out, so I hope we will be sitting here talking to you face to face when these movies come out.
Deadpool
And
2 when
we'll
it comes out.
absolutely. And we will probably be kicking the crap out of Solo when it comes out. So we will be back.
Wouldn't it be ironic if we wind up liking Solo and hating Deadpool 2? Stay tuned to find out.
You never know. You never know. My friend,
Indeed it is, sir.
always a pleasure.
Good night.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.